Hello, hello, hello. This is Nicholas with DIVO-Ted Talks, Devoted Talks, depending on how you want to say it. I've always wanted to give a TED Talk, and maybe one day I will, but I don't know. I'm not the type to do the knockoff. Like, I'm not the type to do a TEDx. Like, if I was going to do a TED Talk, I would want to do an actual TED Talk. And I've been the same way about fitness. And so and education in general. Like I want to go to the source. So I find out who the teachers I like, who they learned from, and then I try to go to those people because I like to go more to the source, right? I think about it from the context of like telephone, right? Some things sound the same, and then things start to get distorted the more people that they touch, and they get more colored and characteristic of people as they move down the line. And right, we talked about proximity impacts perception. It's the same thought right here. So as we are more proximal to different teachers, we start to get new perceptions. And so the further away from the source that you get, the more that happens. So I learned from people, but I really was like, ugh, I'd rather just learn from the guy who did it. And honestly, if I'm being very truthful, it's a long drawn out story, but suffice it to say, I learned Sanskrit from somebody, and he talked about this teacher that he studied from in New Mexico. And I was like, oh, cool, whatever, whatever. And then of my own accord, setting the intention, I would love to study with that guy. Whatever. Didn't think about it again. Dr. Lad found me, and guess who that teacher was in New Mexico that this Sanskrit teacher learned from? Dr. Lad. But I didn't know that till later. Like I couldn't have orchestrated it better myself. It came to be in and of itself. And in and of itself, independent of me. I couldn't have steered it that way. It just was natural progressions that afforded me the choice to pick that school, to pick that teacher, to be a part of it. And also, it was a residential program until the pandemic. And so the pandemic, which introduced me to Dr. Lai, but also this particular teacher, Sanskrit teacher, who did it online, I was able to learn virtually from the Ayurvedic Institute. Now they're in North Carolina, go figure. But my life has been a bunch of happy little accidents, as I call them. But in reality, there's a greater orchestration that I never could have planned for, or that I hardly even understand. And that's okay, because it does show up for me. What I struggle with is knowing that this has happened time again, time and time and time again. And some things I worry about to the point that it's debilitating, or at least causes suffering, if nothing else, or worry. And if I were to contextually keep my head on straight, I would remember that these things that I never understood, or that I have left to be on the back burner for years and years and years, eventually do come to pass. But I'm normally like, oh, cool, that happened. Or I always wanted that. I didn't think about it though. Like I couldn't have planned it better. I couldn't have orchestrated it better. I couldn't have probably even made it happen if I wanted to, because my interpretation of how to orchestrate it is so skewed. It's so myopic, because I'm just one point and everything I'm viewing is from my perspective, rather than the universe, who is touching anything and everything within its grasp, from the smallest molecule all the way through the greatest planet, which I would argue that the macro and the micro are no different from each other. It's just a magnitude of consciousness, or conscious awareness, or what do I call it? Greater orders of magnitude of consciousness. So, what does this all mean for us? Well, it is related to a topic I covered before, which relates to not suffering and not causing yourself suffering, because you actually have a strong understanding of the fact that everything's always working out from you. If you are familiar with Abraham Hicks, that's a common saying that they have, that it's always working out for me, and you can never get it done. You can never get it wrong, because you can never get it done. And sorry, I almost knocked over a weight, and it almost fell off the thing, and it would have been a loud crash. So, just so you know, I fiddle with things when I am recording. So anyway. Those of you who are on audio won't know what I'm talking about. But you can't get it wrong because you never get it done. And everything is always working out for me. And it's my relationship to the expectation that is oftentimes creating suffering in the moment with relation to my control. I want to control when it happens. I want to know when it happens. I want to make it happen when I want it to happen. And, everyone else be damned. It doesn't necessarily have to be that dramatic, but it's that same thought process. And so within that context, what does that mean? Well, it means that if things are always working out for me and things that I have desired many years prior are in the works because I desired it and I'm not trying to control it, if I get out of the way, then the universe can deliver it to me. I mean, like with my yoga studio, I had a huge learning curve, but all I did with the more things that I learned was try to control things more. Well, I wouldn't have done it that way. I don't know how many times I said that, or if that was me doing that job and I acted like that, I wouldn't have any business. Instead of it just being what it was, I was trying to make things happen based on my interpretation and my rationalization or my understanding of it. So I believe that if somebody told me that it would be done by a specific date, that it would be, rather than listening to other people who said construction can take a long time. But you know what they said? They told me what to expect. They said, expect this. They didn't say, I would just keep an open mind that it could take a lot longer than you think. It could be sooner. It could be right on time, but it might not. And so make plans that accommodate that. Like, I wouldn't have wound down my clientele as soon as I did had I known that it was going to take as long as it took to get the studio open. Right? How many times would you have done something different had you known? But how many things have you forgotten about that you said you wanted, and then you realize later in life that, oh my gosh, it already happened, or oh my gosh, it's happening right now. And so, whoa, how do you work with that? Well, if you believe you're worthy and that your desires are something you are worthy of having, and everything's always working out for you, then all you have to do is desire it and then let it go. I mean, we've heard about this before, or at least I have, in different manifestation circles and woo-woo circles and things of that nature. But it really is funny when you watch it happen and you're like, well, shit. Now, there are other people who bring out the points that you could make things more likely to happen in more expedited fashion by feeling the feelings of what it's like to have something, so you're ready to receive it. And that was another topic I forgot to mention when I was talking about the worthiness and the alternator. It's how do you get into a space to receive all that's coming to you? Like, you're not receptive until you believe you're worthy, but you're not worthy until you stop thinking about what you expect and what you think you want, or your judgment about how it should be. Oh my gosh. We could go round and round in circle, and we could talk about it, 10 ways to the side. I don't know. What's that adage? I don't remember. 3 sheets to the wind. I don't know. So how do I bring it back together and pin it back up? You are worthy. Everything is always working out for you. Unconditional is what allows you to foster the belief of worthiness. You can't get it wrong because you never get it done. And if you can just let things go, they can go out into the world, into the Maya, into the Prakriti, and manifest. And how fast it manifests is really more in relation to the turns of the universe and your relationship to that than it is about the thing itself. Abraham Hicks, to quote them again, says it takes the same amount of intention or desire to build a button as a castle. So my friends, today, what are you going to build? A button, a castle, or your wildest dreams? Be well, be free.